Well, hello, one and all, and welcome to Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose with Patty. I am your co-host. I am Patty Stoolin, the Pathfinder of Pathways with Patty, and we have another incredible episode today because my guest is an absolutely remarkable woman that I'm so glad she's here to share her story with you. My guest today is Alma Collins Thomas. She is a highly accomplished individual with a diverse range of expertise. She is an ordained minister, educator, motivational speaker, playwright, and author. Alma holds 2 Bachelor of Science degrees, one in human services with a concentration in children and families, and another in Christian studies. She is also a Bible school teacher, imparting her knowledge to students. Alma has co-authored several books, including Love, Marriage, and Divorce, and is a member of Sisters with Purpose. She is the author of 2 debut books, Dream Killers and From the Waiting Room to the Recovery Room. Alma is also a single mother of 2 children, Sabria and Tysean, who left his earthly home to reign in his heavenly home in 2009. She is a stroke survivor. She suffered a massive stroke 2 years ago, but she still empowers and inspires others from her hospital bed. Hello, Alma. It is a pleasure to have you as my guest today. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. I'm so excited to be here with you this afternoon to share my testimony with you and your audience. I'm just so happy to be in the land of the living. Just excited this afternoon.
Well, and just right there, what you just said was the thing that when we met in our pre-podcast time together, automatically when you started speaking, I should say, I felt a spirit upon my heart and soul that immediately I knew that you were a perfect fit as a guest on this show because you are truly one of those people that defines rediscovering your passion and purpose because even from a hospital bed, for you to have the attitude that you have, it's infectious, it's inspiring, it's motivating. And that's exactly what I love about the guests that come on this show. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be able to inspire and motivate our audience to let them know that really, no matter what your circumstances, you still have a purpose and you still have things to do to not only create a better world for you, but also for others.
That is correct. That is correct. That um circumstances are gonna happen that you have no control over. So you shouldn't harbor over the things you have no control of because you can't change those things, but you can change things that you have control over.
That's exactly right. So tell our audience how you discovered your passion and purpose during your life. I know, because part of this podcast is also about sharing the challenges and obstacles, not only that you may be having now, that you have had throughout your life, but you have never given up the thought or the opportunity to get over those challenges and obstacles to make your life better, not only for you, but your family and friends. Tell us a little bit about you and where you've been and where you've come to.
Okay. Um as you said earlier in my bio, that I'm an educator. So I used to work with children that was 3 to 5 years old in the Head Start system. And 2009 is where my obstacles and challenges really began because, and as a matter of fact, tomorrow would have been my son's 34th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And on February 13th, 2009, my son passed away. He had a heart attack and he didn't make it.
I'm sorry.
And everybody was saying, oh, you're so strong, we don't know how you deal with it, but he's in a better place. And before you go through obstacles of such magnitude, I know I used to say things to people like they're in a better place, and but once you go through it, you realize that nothing you say is gonna make the person feel better, because I'm thinking, all right, if that's such a better place, why don't your child go? And you understand that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, but you just in that moment don't understand it. So here I am ministering to people and going through this hurt and silence while people are telling me that I'm so strong. So he passed away on February 13th. And on April 17th, I poured all my blood pressure pills into my hand, and I was going to unalive myself. Not because I wanted to be unalive, but I wanted to be with my son on his first birthday in heaven. I was thinking, I wonder if grandma is singing happy birthday to my baby today. I wonder if the angels know it's his birthday and they're singing it. I said, you know what? Nobody can celebrate your child's birthday like you can. So I decided that day I was going to go and be with my baby. And I poured all the pills into my hand, and I heard a still, quiet voice say, if you do it, you'll never see him again. And I
Oh my
put the
gosh.
pills back in the bottle, and I remember just crying hysterically, harder than even when he died, harder than that. I was crying, and I was like, God, you have to help me if I'm gonna get through this um hardship and make it on the other side. You're gonna have to help me, because I don't know what to do. They say if I love you, and I know I love you, God, and I live for you, but I can't. I don't blame you, God, but I just can't get over this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the African American churches and community, mental health is taboo. They feel like if you go to church and you get in the prayer line and they slap some oil on you, that you're going to be okay. And not every pastor and clergy member is equipped to deal with mental issues. It's okay if you have high blood pressure, you have to take high blood pressure pills. It's all right if you have diabetes and have to take the pills. But when you start talking about anxiety and depression and panic attacks, they don't feel that that's real,
Mm.
that you need medication or whatever for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I had to do something. So I went to the EAP at my job, and they talked me through the stages of grief, and that you don't go through the stages of grief 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're finally at acceptance and
Mm-hmm.
everything in your life is okay. But you fluctuate between um the stages of grief. And
Mm-hmm.
one day you might be at acceptance, and 20 minutes later you're back to being in denial.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to decide that it was okay not to be okay, and that I'm not as strong as people was saying that I was.
Mm-hmm.
And then after my son passed away, I turned my pain into passion by starting a scholarship in my son's honor. And to date, I have given away 17 scholarships through
Wow.
friends and family, raising the money. We try to give each child $500, and they can use it towards their books or whatever. And then after that, I got through that. Then there was a fire at my apartment. My apartment didn't burn, but two apartments in that row, so they condemned the whole row. And then I found myself homeless and going through the system after working all my life. And this is the first time I need help. And it was terrible. They put me in a bed bug hotel. I
Oh,
stayed there for one night, and me and my daughter got eaten up by bed bugs in an hour. We were only there laying down an hour before our body was just infected. And we went to my mom's house, and she has a 1-bedroom senior citizen apartment. So A, we wasn't supposed to be there, and B, we had to squeeze in and make room.
wow.
So then I made a permanent decision while I was in a temporary situation, still trying to fill that void in my life. And I got married and made a permanent decision while I was in a temporary situation, and to find out he was telling me everything I wanted to hear. I want to go to church. I want to learn about God. And it was just what I thought I was looking for until I said I do. The minute I said I do, he turned from um Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde. I was like, who did I marry? And I found out that he was a substance abuser. He was addicted to crack cocaine,
Mm,
and he wouldn't admit that he had a problem. So I told him, if you don't admit you have a problem, I can't help you. So we ended up getting a divorce. After that is when, in 2021, I suffered a massive stroke, and the whole right side of my body is affected. So as you might see, that I'm laying down, I'm at home, but I'm laying down in my hospital bed.
mm-hmm,
And many people say, well, with you in that condition, why are you on podcasting? Why don't you want to just talk and not show the condition you're in? And I say no, because I've accepted the condition that I'm in, and I want to inspire and motivate other people that have had a dream, and they rocked that dream to sleep, and they thought they could never have it. They thought they could never write that book. They thought they couldn't go back to school. They thought they couldn't start that business for whatever excuses and circumstances came up in their life. And I've had a lot of bad chapters in my life.
mm-hmm,
But I look at life like a never ending book. The book doesn't end until you die.
mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
after each bad chapter, you can rewrite your story. Your story doesn't have to end there. Your current situation is not your final destination. And I've been knocked down a lot of times, but I get back up. I'm like that clown. You seen ever been in a carnival and you see that clown, you throw the ball at it as hard as you can because you want to knock it down. And that clown goes all the way down, and you're so excited, you're jumping up and down, and you're just about to claim your grand prize, and that clown bounces back up again. You see, they put something in that clown that makes it bounce back. If you don't hit it hard enough, you hit it hard, but you don't hit it hard enough, it all almost goes down, but it bounces back up. That's what I have in me. God has placed a bounce back spirit in me that whatever I go through, I bounce back for it. I made a choice a long time ago that no matter what I go through, I'm going to be better, not bitter. I could be laying here in this hospital bed feeling sorry for myself. Oh, my right hand, I can't write anymore, and I'm right-handed. Oh, however, will I ever write any more books and my life is over? No, no, no. I look for what I could do. I could take this phone in one hand and type out my stories and send them to an editor and a formatter to format them for me. So I'm still chasing my dream. I'm still going after everything that is placed inside of me because you can't put your purpose on pause. You can't press because you're going through some negative circumstances. You can't press pause on your purpose. There's no
Wow.
point.
I'll tell you what, Alma, just from there's so many golden nuggets you have just shared with everybody and aha moments. Uh, I mean, going back going back to when you had those pills in your hand and you were ready to join your son. We both know because of our faith that it was God that was letting you know, I have so much more in store for you. And just like you said with the clown, you got knocked down, you got back up again, and then, a marriage, same thing. Boy, you get knocked back down again, you pop back up, and that is truly inspiring in so many ways because I think so many of us, just when we get a cold or a slight something happens with us, it's like we have that pity party and many people just pitch a tent and they stay there. And you have not done that. You don't feel sorry for yourself. And many people would think, oh, well, you have every reason in the world to be mad at God or to just be mad at life in general and to give up. But your audacious spirit does not allow you to do that. So is that something that was part of your foundation and growing up from your family, or where does that tenacity, where did that come from?
Well, my mother is a pretty strong woman and she raised five of us by herself as a single mom. And four out of five did all right. um, but I think that my faith in God is what really got me through those days. Like Marvin Sapp sings, I never would have made it, but I
Mhm.
never would have made it without God. I don't know how people that go through these circumstances go through it without faith or blaming God. I never blamed God. I just wanted Him to help me get
Mhm.
through it. I knew, and not even just get through it. I didn't want to just get through it and survive it, but I wanted to live through it, give
Mhm.
myself permission. Because when you lose a child or when you lose anything, a relationship, a part of your body, that you have to give yourself permission to live again. I used to be like, on days that I had a good day and I was laughing or whatever, and then in the instant I would be sad again, thinking, how can I just laugh when my son is gone? How can I'm the youth pastor of my church? How can I teach youth when my son is gone? What am I gonna tell them? But then God told me that what you placed in your son, because it wasn't like I said, my son didn't die from gun violence or anything like that. He was a young man who loved church, who loved God, that at 17 and 16 years old, he was already a deacon and he
Mhm.
was going to the church on the weekends when everybody else is going to parties. He was going to the church, making sure it was clean, making sure the store was stocked. I remember one time, this is a funny thing that happened. Um, he got in trouble in school he was a senior, and he told the math teacher that the math teacher said to him, "Why are you always talking in my class?" So he said, well, he was explaining to other students how to do the work. And so the math teacher got mad and he was like, "Well, I'm explaining how to do the work. I can't explain over you." And so my son was like, "Well, no one can understand you when you teach. That's why I'm talking." And so he kicked him out of the room and he was like, "He's rude and he needs to apologize or he's not going to pass math," and he wasn't going to graduate. So when he came home, I was like, "Tyshawn, when you go to that school tomorrow, you apologize to the math teacher." He was like, "But mommy, I didn't do anything wrong. I just told them kids don't understand him, so I was helping them." I was like, "I know, but he has what you need. Just apologize." And he was always one who believed, if he believed something, he was gonna fight till the end. So then he was like, "Nope, I'm not doing it. I guess I'm not graduating." And I was like, "What do you mean for 12 years of that?" So I'm hot. So I yell at him, "If you don't apologize to that teacher, you're not going to church on Sunday." And he starts laughing and he said, "Mommy, what kind of minister tells their child you can't go to church?" And then we just bust out laughing. That's the only thing that he liked to do. He liked to go to church and he liked to serve God. So I figured if I took that away, he would say sorry.
So did he?
Yes, he eventually said sorry. He was like, and then he had to make a speech like, "I'm saying sorry because my mother wants me to. I don't think I was wrong," but I was like, "Just say sorry, and so we can get this diploma and get out of here."
Exactly. Oh, that's precious. That's really good. Well, and going along with that, the thing that is so wonderful, even that in a way by sharing that story right now about Tyshawn, you are celebrating him, his life, and his upcoming birthday and his passing altogether, but you share it in such a beautiful way to let all of us, as a reminder to all of us, that with those special people that are no longer here on earth with us, to speak their name, to share stories about them, because that way their legacy continues on and they are still making an impact on people. To know that there was a young man out there that more important than anything was going to church, being a deacon, being a part of the church. I mean, what a great inspiration that is, and hopefully that inspires other people to do the same thing.
Amen.
So when did you realize, was there a certain point in your life that you began to notice that you had a passion for helping others?
From very young, because I always loved children. As a matter of fact, I was in a pre-law program and I had to stop school for a while and work. And that's when I got the job at Head Start. And hence, 32 years later, I was still there because I loved when the kids came in at 3 years old, a blank canvas, and they left with their own little personalities and ready for kindergarten and just equipped for life. Because not only did I teach them ABCs, but I taught them to love themselves and that somebody loved them and that their voice had meaning and that I would always listen to them. That if you had something to say, you wanted to express how you was feeling, always use your words. And I taught them what feelings like afraid and scared and all those things meant. And just to see them blossom at the
Mhm.
end of the year was enough for me. And I love women and empowering them, because as a single mother and all the challenges that I've gone through, I love to motivate, empower young women that they can do it too. That if they just change their mindset and visualize them doing it, like all my life, I wanted to be an author. I would always say, I'm going to write a book. I want to write a book. I want to write a book. And I was always writing something, but never publishing anything. And the first book that I started to write it the morning my son passed away, when the doctor said we did all we could do, but we couldn't save him. And I began writing the book from the waiting room to the recovery room. And then somebody asked me to write an article, and I was going to just dust off something I had, but God dropped in my spirit, dream killer. And I was like, God, what does that mean, dream killer? And he was like, the reason why you can't write from the waiting room to the recovery room is because you have not yet made it to the recovery room. You're still in the waiting room waiting for me to call your name. But because of dream killers, they've killed your dreams, your visions, your
Mm.
aspirations. And he said those things like self doubt, low self esteem, fear, procrastination, all those things have killed your dreams. And when I wrote Dream Killers, I freed myself, and I was able to, in 2 weeks, finish writing from the waiting room to the recovery room. So I empower people that you can do it, that I invested in myself, that I paid for my 2 books, Dream Killers and From the Waiting Room to the Recovery Room, while I was on unemployment.
Wow.
So instead of taking care of all the bills and my daughter being a senior, that I still invested in myself. The finance was always a problem, but I invested in myself because I visualized, I saw myself as an author. I saw my many books being birthed. And when I birthed out that one book, which was an anthology that I wrote with 3 other women, Love, Marriage, and Divorce. When I birthed out that book and I held that book in my hand, it was like the joy that you feel when you birth your first child. You
Mhm.
forget about all the pain and all the sorrow you went through, and now you're holding your baby. And that's what I felt when I wrote my first book, that all the pain and the sorrow and the disappointments and the heartache, it was all worth it for this. And each book that I birth out now, I feel the same way, especially the book that I wrote after I had the stroke, with one hand. And it took longer. And when I tried to talk it into the phone, but it was making more mistakes than when I was typing by one hand. But I persevered. I didn't give up. Sometimes I had to put my phone down and not write for a while because I was frustrated, but I'll pick the phone up and tip tip tap again, and I got it done. My book, I'm surviving a stroke, is with the editors now. It's getting ready to go, be published by um, the beginning of summer. I
Mm.
have a journal that goes along with it. So you don't have to give up. You can soar above your circumstances.
Ooh, I love that. Soar above your circumstances. Amen to that. And you are truly doing that in so many ways. What would you say, Alma, is the best piece of advice that anyone has ever given you?
The best piece of advice is believe in yourself. This is a saying. I think Martin Luther King said it. If your mind can conceive it and your heart can receive it, then you can achieve it. I
Mhm.
don't think that there's anything that I want to do that I won't be able to do. Like being on these different podcasts, I've been all over the world, all over the country, being an ambassador for Christ. And before I was in this condition, I was told that I would speak to the nations, but I didn't understand. I was prophesied that I was going to speak to the nations, and I didn't understand how it was going to happen, but I believed it. I believed that God had a plan and a purpose for my life, that He didn't save me on April 24th, 2021, just to lay here in my bed in misery,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't for me. It's for the people who look at me and are inspired, that they might just have stubbed their toe and they think that's the worst thing ever. But when they hear my story of all that I've been through, and I persevered through it all, I've been through the fire, but it didn't burn me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through the storm, but it didn't overtake me. I've been in the pit, but I didn't drown. So you can look at your circumstances that you find yourself in and think, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can make it. I can fulfill my dreams, even those dreams that we sometimes rock asleep because we think we can't have them. I think about Sarah and how Sarah wanted to help God. God promised her that she was going to have the inheritance, but
Mm-hmm.
she wanted to help God, and she told her husband to go in to a handmaiden. But you know when she got upset? When she saw Hagar holding her promise.
Mm-hmm.
God had promised her. So I don't want anybody else to hold my promise.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Such powerful words. What would you say that you are passionate about personally and even professionally? Because I look at you being as writer, that's kind of become your profession. So what are you passionate about personally and professionally right now?
That I want to produce books that are going to transform people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
That I just don't want to write to say, oh, that was a good book, but I want to write so the people who read it, they transform their life and they see the manifestation of God come alive in their lives.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing that, girl. I'll tell you that. Um, what would you say is your purpose personally and professionally right now?
My purpose is, I think that I know that I'm going to walk again because God has promised me, and I'm in the process. But I believe that I'm in this process to inspire and motivate people, that that's my purpose, that the purpose for this wasn't because I sinned, wasn't because God is punishing me, but God wanted to use me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you ask God to use you, He doesn't use you in the way that you expected. You know, I expected to be preaching on the stage of a mega church. And God said, oh, no, you're going to lay on your back and preach. And I said, any way you use me, God, I'll be satisfied
And
as
you are
long as you use me.
you're doing it, girl. You are doing it indeed. Yes. What would you say is your superpower?
My faith
Mm-hmm.
that no matter what happens, I believe God. Like when I had the stroke, the nurse was saying to me that I was breathing at less than 10% and that I was gonna die, be unalive. And she said to me, do you want me to hold your hand while you transpire? And I said no, because I didn't want anybody touching me that didn't have the faith that I had. So it's my faith. that I believe God. I'm like the three Hebrew boys that even if he don't do it, I know that he's able.
Hmm. Amen. Yes, yes, yes. Faith is truly your superpower. I felt it from the moment that I first met you, and it continues through with everything that you say. Um, how would you say that you are living what most people say, I mean, living their best life? I call it living your best dash. So how would you say that you're living your best life?
By accepting the things that I can't do and embracing the things that I can do. Like people that had a stroke as massive as I did, their cognitive skills and their speech skills was affected. My cognitive skills was never affected. My speech for about a month or so. So how I'm living my purpose is that I'm telling everybody about the good news that even though I have to do it differently now, I'm still teaching Bible school. I'm
Hmm.
still speaking on virtual stages, which in fact, you can reach more people than if you were going to these different places
Yep.
on these virtual platforms. So my purpose, I think, is to speak to people and just motivate and encourage them to one, love themselves, two, love God.
Hmm. Yep. And once again, you are definitely doing that. You are such an inspiring, uh, motivating person. And, I don't believe that there's a coincidence in our paths crossing with other people. It is not a coincidence that you and I are having this conversation today because of the things that have been transpiring in my life over the last several weeks. Hearing your words are inspiring me to get over the little pity party or the little doubts that start that, yeah, and I know it's all Satan, and it's like, not today, Satan. Well, by you sharing your time with me right now, that's exactly what I hear happening. Not today, Satan, because when there are people out there like Alma that are doing what she is doing, you cannot do anything but be inspired and motivating to make the most out of your life. And I cannot thank you enough for sharing your story because it is incredible and a great lesson for all of us not to give up, especially if it is your dream, your passion, your purpose. No matter what, you are proving you can still do it. You may not be doing it the same way as you did before 2021 when you had your stroke, but like you said, this is not how you envisioned God would have you doing his ministry, but he had different plans for you, and you are still ministering in a way that is probably more powerful now than it ever would have been if you would have been on stage in person.
Amen.
Good for you. So, are there any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
Then do you know how when we're in school and we play that game, I dare you to do something, I dare you to hit somebody, I dare you whatever they dare you to do. Well, this afternoon I'm double dog daring everybody to dream again. Whatever dreams that you might have rocked to sleep and thought you could never have, you thought you could never write that book, you thought that you could never have that car, have that house, start that business, whatever it is that used to tug at your heart until doubt made you think you couldn't have it. Procrastination made you think you have tomorrow. Finances made you think that I can't afford it. Dream again. I dare you to dream again.
Wow. I'm going to take that double dog dare, and I'll tell you, when we get done here, I'm going to add that into my weekly newsletter that I sent out because those words are so So wise and so profound for each and every one of us. Thank you, Alma, so much for being my guest today and being such an inspiration to me. And I know all of you listening on one of our podcast formats, and those of you even watching on the YouTube channel, I know that you're going to take that double dog dare and remember what it means to dream and remind you of your dreams, that nothing is impossible. Don't give up. Isn't that right, Alma?
That's right. Don't give up, don't give in, and certainly don't give out.
Oh, yes. I love that. Can you please tell, I know there's going to be people that are going to want to reach out and connect with you. Can you tell everyone how they can do that?
Yes, on Facebook, I am Alma Thomas at Facebook, Instagram 830. I'm in the process of revamping my website because I want to be able to sell my books and products, A, to raise money for the Tysean Thomas Scholarship Fund this year, and B, to sell my books and my journal to help me in the recovery phase of my stroke. So you can reach me on Facebook, Alma Thomas. And by the time this episode is aired, my website should be up and running.
Wonderful. And in case you might be new to the podcast, know that the link that Alma just gave you and about her Facebook thing, it's also in the description for this podcast. So if you go to the description, you will see the link that you can contact with her that way, or as she just mentioned, you can also connect with her through Facebook. You want to follow her story. I know you do. I know I do. And if you have been inspired as much as I have by Alma, please connect with her, because a dose of Alma is what you need. They say it, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, I want a dose of Alma every day to keep my purpose not at bay, but to bring it right in front and remind me that that purpose is what I want to continue to strive for and continue to be my passion. Thank you once again, Alma. You are a blessing from God, and I am so grateful to have met you and to have you be my guest today on the podcast.
To God be the glory. Thank you for inviting me on your platform. I had so much fun, and it was inspirational just to talk to people, because if I can inspire just one person a day, then my living won't be in vain.
Amen. Most definitely. And you are here for such a great purpose, and you are living out your purpose, Alma. Thank you for that. Well, for those of you out there listening, remember to subscribe and follow this podcast, and invite your family and friends to also subscribe as well. And hey, while you're at it, go ahead and hit that 5-star rating and write a review. I would love for that to happen. Don't forget to also check out my website at www.pathwayswithpatty.org and sign up for a Zoom chat with me, or get my Pathway to a New Beginning roadmap. So until we meet again, continue to live your best dash, and know that life's an adventure, and I want you to continue to enjoy the journey, because your life matters. Thank you for joining us today, and may God bless you all.